Hi guys, Jim Wilhelm, one man with a mic here, and this is a story I like to call Speak Loudly and Carry a Big Stick. Okay, so at this time I was touring with some friends in the deep, deep south, not deep as in bang, 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 but pretty close. I'm from the south, born in Knoxville, still live in the south, but at this point we were touring in one of the bottom southern states along the Gulf Coast. And it was very, very early in the morning because we had just finished a show. And me and my other three people that were touring with me in this area decided to leave a bit early because we wanted to have a day off before our next show. So it's about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and all of a sudden the van we're using starts to knock and ping, and then it suddenly dies. So we're sitting there on a highway. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, not a single soul in sight. It's starting to get cold. But we figured the safe thing would be to just sit there and wait for someone to come along. Maybe we could flag them down and get a ride to a service station or something, or at least call a tow truck or get a repairman. So we're sitting there for at least 45 minutes to an hour, and nothing has happened. Nobody is coming by, and it's getting colder and colder. So we figure, we're going to have to go and find our own help. So one of the other guys that's on the tour with me and one of the girls, they decide to walk down this embankment that's on the other side of a guardrail, because they see a little mobile trailer home station, trailer house, a little collection of trailer houses down there, and mobile homes, so to speak. You know what I'm talking about. So they go down the hill, and they're gone for about 20 minutes. And they come back, and I said, Mike, we're going to call him Mike. Mike, did you find some help? And he says, I just had one of the strangest experiences in my entire life. Now, Mike is from Atlanta, large city in the South, and he knows Southern people. So he went down there and said, I talked to her. We met this old lady at this house. And I said, well, what's weird about that? He says, well, let me tell you what happened. We go down the embankment, and it's a little like a community of little mobile homes, double wides, singles, stuff like that. So we go up to the lady's porch and we knock on the door. She comes up to the door and says, what? And he says, well, ma'am, I'm sorry to bother you at this late hour, but we're a touring theater group, and our car broke down. We wondered if we might come in and use your phone. And she says, I don't care who you are, who you're with, or what you want. You got some nerve thinking I'm going to let you into my house at this time of the night. And then Mike says, she picks up the stick, broom, whatever it was, by the door, and she brandishes it and says, if you don't get off of my porch, I'm going to take you out. And I said, well, Mike, what'd you do? And he says, we got off the porch. So we come up to the porch, and you got this little elderly lady that he described as being similar to, if you've ever seen the film Driving Miss Daisy, it was kind of like the lady from that, Jessica Tandy, only he said a lot more mean. So we said, oh, all right, well, don't worry about it, Mike. We'll just sit with the van a little bit, and maybe somebody will come by. And then about another hour passed, and nobody came by. And I said, well, you've had a rough time of it, so let me and the other girl on our team go, and we'll try to maybe walk down the road and find something else. So he says, okay. I mean, one of us had to stay with the van because we had a lot of equipment in there, and we had personal belongings in there, and we didn't really want to leave it on the side of the road where anybody could take it. So me and this other girl, we start walking down the road, and we're about walking 15 minutes or so, and we can't even see any lights in the distance. No signs of any other civilization, but the little trailer park area down there where Mike had already gone. So he said, well, maybe let's do what he did. Let's go down this embankment and the guardrail, and well, maybe somebody else has their lights on. So we go down the embankment after we go over the guardrail, and we're looking around, and we don't see any other lights on but what has to be the lights from the trailer of this one old lady. And so I said, well, let me see if we, at least, maybe if we apologize to this lady, we can ask her for some help. Then it strikes me what something Mike said. Something that Mike said. He said he walked up to her porch and knocked on the door. And of course, Mike was from a large southern city, and there's a difference between a large southern city and small southern towns. So I said, I got this. So I turned to the girl with me and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go up to that street lamp right there by her house. And what I want you to do is look around, look around just various places, and look over at me like you're concerned. And neither of us are going to leave this pool of light caused by the street lamp. And she says, what are you talking about? We're going to just go. I said, no, we're not going to walk up to the lady's porch. Trust me on this. So we're standing under the porch light for about 8 minutes or so, and sure enough, we see in the corner of our eye, little old lady peeling back the curtain. Curtain goes back. We still are there under the street lamp talking to each other, and then the door opens and she says, y'all need some help? And I says, well, yeah, sure, ma'am. We sure appreciate it. Our vehicle broke down up the highway up there, we're a theater group. What we do is, you're a theater group? What kind of theater you do? Well, we go around doing shows for schools, and churches, and hospitals, sharing the good word and helping people feel better for, however long time we're there. We get to know them, we spend time with them. And she says, well, ain't that something? You doing the Lord's work. And he says, well, yes, ma'am, we are. We're doing the Lord's work. And you said you had a car breakdown? He says, yeah, ma'am, we're terribly sorry to annoy you at this time of night. And she, oh, don't forget about it. Get in this house. So we got inside her house. And as we're entering the door, I look over and there's the stick that Mike was talking about. It's just like a little broken handle of something or other. So we get in and she says, y'all have a seat, And she asked us a little bit about, again, a little bit further about what we do. And we're talking to her for about 15 minutes. And all of a sudden she says, y'all, it's pretty cold out there. You want a piece of hot apple pie? Yeah, we'd like a piece of hot apple pie. So she gets hot apple pie out of the oven, which coincidentally she was baking not too long ago. She brings it over to us and says, y'all want some sweet tea to go with that? Now, I'm not a fan of sweet tea. I know as a southern boy, I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for saying this. I'm not a big fan of sweet tea. I prefer unsweetened tea with a little bit of lemon. But, this lady has a stick and knows how to use it. Yes, ma'am, we sure do like a glass of sweet tea to go with this mighty fine apple pie. Now, the reason why I was using that dialect is because when I grew up in the South, that was a lot of the dialect I heard. I grew up in a little bitty town, and it was a combination of people that speak as I'm speaking now, and there was also a large percentage of the population in that little town that kind of talk like this, they talk like this, a more pronounced drawl. And what I was able to do, and still am able to do, when I hear someone's vocal patterns, tone, and inflection, and dialect, and accent, or whatever they have, I'm able to match that somewhat. Because I'm a firm believer, if you want to connect with someone on a really deep, meaningful way, that you try to meet them where they are. That doesn't always work. There are things that sometimes make it hard to do. Personal stress, environment, maybe they don't care to meet someone, maybe they don't want to talk to me, but there's a whole lot of different factors. But a good method to connect with somebody and to achieve true communication is to meet them where they are. So we're sitting there having some apple pie and some sweet tea and talking to the sweet little old lady. That stick is in the corner. And she says, boy, I sure do like that Matlock show. She's watching Matlock. Says, y'all like Matlock? And I remember watching Matlock with my grandmother, and I said, y'all sure do like Matlock. Yeah, he never lost a case, did he? Yeah, that's right. He never lost a case. And we're there for about 30 minutes, and she says, "Oh yeah, that's right. Y'all need a tow truck, but don't worry about a tow truck. They can be so expensive." So she calls her. She's got a cousin that lives not too far along the way, and he has a personal tow truck of his own. He operates a mechanic shop. So she sets it up where he's gonna come pick us up and pick up our couple of friends that are up on the highway, and he's gonna tow our van to his shop and get it fixed. So as we're leaving, the cousin finally arrives, and she says, "Y'all, I want you to know, I really appreciate you being so kind and doing the good Lord's work." And we said, we ought to appreciate you for your apple pie and your sweet tea, and you just one of the kindest little old ladies we ever met. We pray God's blessings on you. And she says, "Well, thank you." So we get in this guy's tow truck, and we go pick up our couple of friends. And my friend is looking at me, Mike, and he's like, so you found help? Okay, cool. So we're at the guy's shop, and of course he's looking over our car. It turns out to be a bad alternator. So he fixes the alternator, and me and him are talking about NASCAR. I have no idea about anything about NASCAR except it's with cars and a few of the drivers' names. But I'm talking with this guy, just chatting with him. And again, I'm using similar accents, vocal projections, and all that sort of thing. And after it's all done, and we're back on the road, Mike turns to me and says, "So let me get this straight. What was different? What was different? You and I are both from the South." And she seemed angry at me. Why was she nice with you? So I said, "Well, see, Mike, it's kind of like the story of the Maters and Taters." And he says, "Well, what story is the Maters and Taters?" And I say, "Well, consider there's this old grocery store in a really, really deep part of the South, like we are now. And this guy from New York, let's say he's from New York, he comes up to the counter and says, 'How much are your tomatoes and potatoes?' And the clerk says, 'Well, our potatoes are $1 a pound, and our tomatoes are 75 cents a pound.' So he says, 'All right,' and he takes a pound of each. And as he's putting them in the sack, this little old Southern lady walks up and says, 'How much for the Maters and Taters?' And the old grocer says, 'Well, ma'am, taters are 75 cents a pound, and maters are 25 cents a pound.' And of course, the New York guy says, wait a minute, you've overcharged me, sir. And why? Why did you do this?" And the old grocer says, "Well, here in the South, son, you'll learn that there's a difference between maters and taters and tomatoes and potatoes." But sometimes to get closer to someone, it's better to meet them where they are. Don't make them say, try to be like you. You be more like them. You're not trying to lie to them. You're not trying to mimic them. You're not trying to put up a false front. Just be a skosh more like they are. Because human beings, as a general rule, we like to be around people like us. And if you can find a way to observe people, just people watch, listen to their voices, look at their mannerisms, and if you can find a common ground. I'm not asking you to pretend to be somebody you're not, but if you can keep your observational skills sharp and find a common ground where you can meet someone at, you'll find the communication comes a lot quicker, a lot deeper, and a lot more enjoyable. So I said, "Mike, that's what it is. You're a great guy, but I just tried to find something in common I had with that little old lady." And then Mike says, "Well, yeah, I get that, and that's a good lesson and everything, but how come she didn't pull the stick on you?" And I said, "Well, Mike, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You don't go up to an old lady's house on her porch, knock on her door at 2 o'clock in the morning in the dark, and expect anything but the big stick." So yeah, that's the story of, well, I don't know, let's call it the speak loudly and carry a big stick. All right, well, I'll soon be back bringing you another tale from the road. And just remember that I just want to entertain you guys. I want to make you laugh, I want to make you smile, so you'll come on back and sit a while and watch my videos.